Ooh, these golden bitches.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Hope
It's gonna be
everybody's
fun, y'all. Yeah. Everyone's kind of running late, so we decided, you know what, we might as well pop on here, not keep everyone waiting so long, even though we wasn't talking about shit to begin with.
No. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody
will be going
in
well. Yeah, I will be going in on your face because I don't like none of the Lannisters, so I'm already referring to golden bitches. That should be the title of this stream, golden bitches.
I'll make sure to put it in the thumbnail. I'll change the thumbnail and put the golden bitches just for you, T.
Yeah, like they'll be the golden bitches, the older brothers, and then like when we talk about the younger brothers in the next one, they could be the golden dumbasses. Is the golden dumbass.
Everybody's complimenting your red lip.
Look, okay, let me just tell y'all, it sucks being a fucking female, especially when you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But my girl hooked me up for my early birthday present. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, try to do this red thing. I'm trying, y'all. I am trying, you know? Oh, it sucks being a woman sometimes. It do, but she picked the colors for me, y'all, because y'all know I've been struggling. Too bad our girl Major ain't in here. You know, that's the beauty guru trying to hook me up, you know, tell me baby girl no or baby girl yes. That's what I need. I need that energy.
So I'm sure she'll come in. So let me shout out the people in the chats. We got Nancy, who was here earlier. Chrissy says she'll stop in because she's going to be a little late. OTDA, as usual, in here holding it down. Phil, House.
As always.
Drive safely. Human is in the house. Fandom is in the house. Hey, Sneak.
Before we even get really deep into the, you know, Lannister golden bitches and all of that juicy stuff, I just want to update y'all on my Expanse experience. I'm still on season 1. That's because you know me, I get distracted. But I'm on episode 9 now, and shit is popping off. Now, I remember, I think it was Plex who asked me what faction. I still don't know, but I'm just going to talk about because mostly everyone I think has seen y'all like on season 4 and shit. I'll say this as a person who's only on season 1, episode 9. I don't know. What's it called? The organization, the OPA or some shit like that?
The OPA.
I'm leaning towards them.
Okay.
But that's what I'm leaning towards. I don't know whose side they're technically on. I'm on episode 9. But it's like a lot of stuff's popping up. Like they beat that cop's ass. The other one tried to be a superhero to the, I don't know if she's a hoe or something. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm bad with names. Like I keep calling the dude The Wire, and that's not his name. It's like Anderson, I think.
Which one?
The black dude who's like on The Wire.
About, Fred Johnson.
Where did I get Anderson from? Way off. Yeah, so with him, I don't like him at all. I don't trust that dude. He is too fucking sneaky. However, and that I think the technology, you know how they kept saying something about they got their hands on some shit that could like change it or something. It's that whatever that blue shit is. Whatever that blue shit is. Yeah, like when I saw a baby girl, I was like, oh. So that's where I'm at with the Expanse. I'm like, then I was like, I switched to Game of Thrones mode.
Well, we'll be talking Expanse season 2 this Saturday. So if you guys are Expanse fans or you are kind of interested in knowing what Expanse is all about, just join me this Saturday at 2:00, and we'll be talking about season 2. Yeah.
I want to join the stream and talk about Expanse too.
Yeah. You want to join this?
I'm gonna get
you can come along. Yeah, you can come on with me. I'll be glad to have somebody, so I'm not the only person on the stream. Yeah, you can come on with me. And so, if you haven't seen it, just watch season 1 and then watch season 2. They do have a lot of episodes for each season. I think each season is like 10 or 12 episodes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the first season I think is 10. So I'm like, I'm going to be done season 1 tonight. Like, this is a 2-hour type of stream, buddy. And then I'm like, otherwise, the sad part about it, let me just tell y'all, y'all could be disappointed in me, be like, come on, T, really? Every time, like, I would watch it, I would get distracted and go somewhere else. And then, like, I tried to watch it again the other day, but then they showed, like, a trailer for Homecoming. And that piqued my interest, and my goofy ass ended up watching the whole season of that. Just stupid. Okay, it's me,
What up, no?
Maybe not. Hey, okay.
Greetings and salutations.
I'm glad you made it. I hope you had a good day today.
I had an all right day. It was a day. I was about to say that.
We missed you.
I was like, where is that?
I did find something. I did find something interesting on YouTube. Not YouTube. What the hell is the name of the thing? Netflix. What's the name of the show?
You talk about Kingdom?
No. I already got through Kingdom. Once I saw the first episode, I was done with that within a day.
Ooh, no, Diableros is probably good.
That's what it's called, Diableros. It's Spanish show. Deals with Mexican culture and mythology and demon hunting and some really cool magic shit that they're doing. So if you have that on your Netflix, I would recommend y'all go check that out.
There's a lot of good stuff coming out, y'all.
I'm bored. Netflix has been giving me cures for my boredom over this past couple weeks.
Hey Phil, I promise you, I'm going to finish that shit. I feel like I'm going to finish the last 2 episodes tonight after the stream, so don't worry. And then I'm just going to watch the rest Fridays so I can be prepared Saturday. Because right now, I stopped where it was getting really good, where I'm starting to piece some shit together. But then I was like, no, bitch, you got to get to Lannisters. And I'm like, so I got to focus on these Lannister bitches, these golden bitches, and then after that. Oh, and one thing, okay, so everybody's on what's baby boy's name? What is his name? The one everyone likes.
Amos.
Well, yeah, he talking about big boy. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. He a little off, y'all. Like mine be gone a little bit. So I'm like, why y'all like him so much?
Everybody needs an Amos. Everybody needs somebody who
baby boy. Look, baby boy, he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna blast her. He was like, nah, they say this. He said, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna blast her. He's like, he said, I guess you just got to take your shot. Wait a minute, y'all got alien technology on here. Like, now's not the time. Oh, okay. And then I promise I'm off this expansion for at least tonight. The dude that's like iRobot, like, I don't like him either. I don't know his name either. The one with the eyes. Because see, this season, I don't know his name.
That sounds like, what's the name of that dude from across the street? What kind of description is that for somebody?
I have no idea. I'm trying to figure out who she's talking about. The one with the eye. I have no idea.
Everybody has eyes.
I have no idea.
Wait. Okay, no.
Get your shit together.
I did I did say iRobot. I thought y'all was on the same page. I don't know. He could see shit in his eye. I don't know his name, but he's with them because he was following them and he snuck on the ship.
Who you're talking about. He's like a spy.
Okay.
Like, he's like a spy that was put in to infiltrate them. But you have to keep watching to know more about who he is. You have to keep watching because it will reveal itself as to who he is. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. So that's where I'm at. So
okay. Oh, Lady D is in the house.
Hey, twin. Hey, twin.
Lady D should be in here with us. What are you doing? You should be in here.
The little professor wasn't feeling good today.
Oh, that's right. I remember. I hope she's doing better.
Someone's not trying to fuck with us on YouTube today at all. They're like, no, y'all had her over the weekend.
She sure enough said that. She was like, listen.
Give my twin back. And hey, Sam, I see you in the chat, girl. Yeah, so y'all ready to talk about the...
That's in season 3. The journalist cameraman, that's season 3. She's still on season 1. She's talking about the guy that Aaron Wright sent to infiltrate the crew, the Rosonadas crew. Because he set them up, remember, in front of the hotel where they found Julie. He set them up because before they got ready to shoot out, he ran out. He dipped out. So that's
where I stopped off at.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw Baby Girl, I was like, yikes. I was like, coronavirus. That's what popped in my head.
Coronavirus on 10.
Yikes. All right, but I just wanted y'all to get the little update.
All right, I don't want to make this stream too long because it is a Thursday night and I'm sure some people have to go to work tomorrow and got other things that they need to do. But I want to thank everybody who's here for coming in. Today we're going to be talking about the Lannister brothers. I had did a previous episode where we had a group discussion about the Baratheon brothers. At the end of the stream, I'll go ahead and put the link inside of the description box in case anybody is interested in going back and viewing that. It's old. It's like, I think it's like 2 or 3 years old. But it was a really good panel discussion about the Baratheon brothers. So I wanted to do the same thing with respect to the Lannisters. So today we're going to talk about Tywin, Kevan, Tyget, aka Tig, and Gerion. And so my goal with this conversation is we're going to do a little bit of a brief synopsis of each of the characters. And I want to talk about how they relate to each other. Not only how do they relate to each other as brothers, but how they relate to their children and to the other players within the realm, and what may be their underlying motives, and what is it that actually drives them to do the things that they do, and how is it that they ended up the way that they ended up, right? And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick off with one of the major ones that plays a huge role in the Game of Thrones books, Tywin Lannister. And just as just for reference, aside from the books, there is an excellent essay by somebody named Ragnarok, which is in Westeros.org. He has a whole essay on Tywin Lannister. I will also post the link to that in the description box after the stream is over. It's a really good essay if you really want to get a perspective of who Tywin Lannister is from his perspective. He goes into more of a character development type of thing, and he looks at Tywin based on his how he is as a military commander, how he is as a father, how he is as a politician, and how it is that he goes about making his decision, how his decision making process goes. So it's a really good essay if you're into that type of, if you're into that. Also, I also want to shout out Radio Westeros because they also do like they do character deep dives in their videos, or I should say in their podcasts. And they did an excellent one on Tywin Lannister, and they actually collaborated with Ragnarok. So I would highly recommend watching their video, and I'll also put that link in the description box at the end of this video. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna let the ladies say hi, and then we'll get this discussion going. Y'all already saw T, so I'm gonna let AK and then Lady D go ahead and say hello.
I'm gonna keep it real short and just say, hey, great to see everyone. And T and Monero, you looking hot. I appreciate the sexiness. That's why I'm glad I decided not to be on the screen, because I would just mess up that whole vibe. And y'all flossing right now, so I'm gonna let you have that shine. B, what's good?
Hey y'all, how you doing? I'm doing, it's pre-bedtime here. So depending on how long we're on, I may be able to like show my face and like take my headscarf off. But if not, then I'll just be over here, mom chilling on the side and trying to hop in the conversation wherever I can. Thanks for doing this, Sarah. Thanks for coming, everybody.
It was like the best mom whisper ever.
Yes. Okay, cool. So let's start with Tywin. So Tywin is the oldest of the Lannister brothers. So there's four Lannister boys, and it's Tywin, Kevan, Tig, and Gerion. So in between Kevan and Tig, the only girl that was ever born to Tydos, and I think her name, she was a Marbrand, was Jenna, or is it Gemma? Gemma. Thank you. So she's the only girl that was born. So we have four brothers, and Tywin is the oldest. Tywin is definitely a firstborn, and if you understand what I mean by a true firstborn, that is Tywin. He also has a chip on his shoulder, and what I mean by that is he has this deep-rooted sense of pride, right? He has this thing about not wanting to look weak and not wanting to look like, like a fool. And so he has like this thing about him where he doesn't like to be made a fool of. And he's not into that being soft or anything. So he doesn't have a very good relationship with his father, who happens to be the total opposite. So if you've read The World of Ice and Fire, in that book they give you a little bit more background on who Tywin's father is and kind of why Tywin is the way that he is. Tydos was a very weak person, right? He wasn't necessarily the type of person who was strong-willed, who ruled with authority. He was more of a, for lack of a better term, he was a people pleaser. So he chose he wanted to be liked by all of his subjects, or I shouldn't say subjects, but all of his lords. And so he chose to please them. He wasn't confrontational or anything like that. And so the lords took advantage of him, which got underneath Tywin's skin. So Tywin, in effect, became like an opposite of who his father was. He was a person who wanted to exhibit authority. He would not allow anybody to to cross him or to disrespect him in any way. And it's evident in how he deals with the Tarbecks and the Rains. And again, if you were to read, if you've heard the stories, if you read the Game of Thrones books, but you get a deeper understanding of how it led to the total annihilation of both the Tarbecks of the Rains when you read the World of Ice and Fire. And so Tywin is somebody who essentially is not someone you want to joke around with, because that's not his personality. But at the same time, in his own mind, he feels that he rules in such a way where he is fair and just, right? In his own mind. That's not to say that's what is, but in his own mind. We also learned that at the time when he was hand to Aerys, who he fought in the War of the Nine Penny Kings with, he was a very effective hand, and the realm prospered while he was the hand of the king, up until the time when he married Joanna, which was a cousin of his. And there was this, let's just say that Aerys had a thing for Joanna, and he made a lot of remarks that Tywin took as an insult, which any man would probably do that. And that led to a bit of a rift between the both of them. But aside from that, Tywin ruled. It is said, and mind you, we're taking this off of the word of a maester, okay? So, and while reading the Game of Thrones, the book series, we don't really hear anything really that contradicts what the maester says in the World of Ice and Fire. Tywin ruled, and he was a fair ruler. Like, everyone prospered, everybody ate, everybody did well. And so to the point where there were a lot of people making claims that, in effect, that Tywin was the true ruler of the Seven Kingdoms and not Aerys, to the point where when Ilan Payne had said that, he had his tongue ripped out with hot pincers. So, and that also added to the rift that occurred between Aerys and Tywin. And so in that vein, I want to pose a question to my sisters here. Why do you think Tywin felt the need that he had to be so, for lack of a better term for me, because I can't think of a better word to say, why do you think that he had to be so strict, so hard, so unyielding, and so unbending towards the people that he dealt with? I'll start with you, AK.
Sorry, that sounded horrible. I had a thought while you were giving the introduction to Tywin, and that actually kind of ties into the question that you just posed. When thinking about the Lannister boys and their personalities, it almost seems like it skipped, like, that take charge and, be the manly man of Westeros skipped his dad. Like, his grandfather had it, hands down. Tywin has it, but it almost seems like he put a little bit extra behind his moxie because of who his dad was. He grew up. I don't think all of the kids got to know their grandfather, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the exact date he died, but I feel like he wasn't around for that much. But Tywin, being the oldest, he got to know him very well, and I think that's where he took a lot of his P's and Q's from. And looking at his father and seeing the disconnect there, he wasn't having it. Then, right after Grandpops was out the way, that's when Tytos came in. And you just see this steady decline in the respect that the Lannister name got. And Tywin was steadily monitoring that decline, and he was not for the nonsense at all. You know, and I feel like he had that, he started having that animosity with his dad from a young age, because he's always just held, you know, had that rimrod straight back and, you know, that stone set jaw about himself. And to compare him to, I don't know, I always think about him and Kevan a lot, because Kevan can be a lot like Tywin, but Kevan is Tywin light. I'll put it that. I can't say he's discount Tywin, but I will say he's Kevan. He's Tywin light. You know, but he doesn't seem to rule the parts of the Westerlands that he's mainly in charge of the way Tywin does. Tywin is of the absolute mindset that I am who I am. My family is better than yours. You will act accordingly. Period, point blank. There's no extra give there. Kevan didn't ever really have that attitude. He did make a place for himself, you know, next to Tywin, to, you know, and I don't want to say to ingratiate himself to Tywin, but I think he just saw, you know, the man that Tywin was, and he understood. So he helped to make things prosper. And I would say that Kevin's the second oldest, right? I would say that he probably, you know, got a little bit of that from their grandfather as well. He didn't have to be the stone. He left that to Tywin, and that's kind of where Tywin shined. For as much as an asshole as I think Tywin is, you can't fault the man's game sometimes. I mean, yeah, he's ruthless, and yes, he's bloodthirsty, and I know what I'm saying sounds very contradictory, but from one sentence to another, but you gotta respect the guy's game. He didn't take no shit. And quite honestly, when you're living in a world set up like Westeros, you can't be having the fuck shit go down when it comes to your family name, especially if you're highborn. Are you joking? You know, I've gotten into arguments before with people in the chats when talking about Tywin. And while I will say again, Tywin is ruthless, and I can't stand him. If I ever got a chance, I'd probably punch him in the throat. But on the other hand, the Rains and the Tarbacks fucking had it coming. They were doing listen, y'all, all of the fuck shit for years. It's not like it was just this one instance where Tywin got mad and then decided to kill everybody. No, they were doing all of the shit for years. If I am a lord of any particular land and you coming at me with that nonsense, you taking my money, you laughing behind my back, you telling all types of fucking jokes, no, I am coming at your fucking throat. I've been dealing with you for what, 2 decades? These assholes were in there doing that shit. You come to me with this nonsense here. And, you know, it's like a Godfather moment. Like you come to me on the wedding day of my daughter, and you asking me for this fuck shit, and what? I'm supposed to do what for you? Huh? After all, did you forget what the fuck just happened? No. You have to answer for that. You have to answer for that. I don't agree with drowning kids and innocence. There's a lot of innocent blood that got spilt there. Yeah, I get it. Again, I know I'm sounding contradictory. But if it was me, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same shit, because I'm not going to come back here for another 10 years of dealing with you disrespecting me. And that's the mindset that Tywin was in. So when people, you know, tell me about this situation, like, oh, he's ruthless and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. But what do you expect? Looking at like Monero said, he just described the man's whole childhood, how he came up to be a young man. You know, he is used to a certain level of life. And in that world, you can't judge their world by our rules. You can't. You got to get, people still try to do that, but you got to get that out your head. You have to go by the rules of that land. And yeah, while some things can be bent and some things should be broken, you got to let it be what it is. And Tywin really just did what he was supposed to do. He was all about changing the stigma of House Lannister can just be fucked with. And if you pay attention and you look at those patterns, it's why I said I think it jumped generations. Like Tywin's grandfather, he had that shit on lock. He wasn't none of these damn problems. But then Tydos came in and his little weak ass didn't know how to handle shit. So after all that came down, Tywin had to jump in and he had to bring that back up. But then what did Cersei say to Tyrion when they were arguing? It's your fault that our family's having to go through this shit because you killed him. The second father died, those vultures came and got us. The genes skipped them. Tyrion's close. He's got the intelligence, but he ain't got the muscle. He ain't got the moxie to really come through like his father or his grandfather did. It skips generations. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know how it's going to end up in the book, but their whole line basically is done. Because I don't think Tyrion's gonna do a whole lot with Bran the Broken and all that other bullshit. But that's how, when I think about them, that's how I see it. Tywin had to be the one to step in and do what needed to be done from a very young age. Like I said, he's just that guy. There's really not there. I honestly don't think it's that complicated to understand Tywin. I really don't. You look at a few key points from how he came up, and you can see exactly how he is. It kind of makes him predictable, honestly. You should know the moves that Tywin is going to come at you with if you actually pay attention and you see what he did. I mean, he finds people predictable. He's able to break down a person's personality easily. That's how he was able to, get Robb into the fuck shit. And no, that's not canon. I know that's just the theory that everyone has, but it's fitting. So I don't know, Tywin, there's not that much to really figure out about him. I think it just speaks volumes in his actions. And you can see the type of person that he was. Was he a good dude? No, not really. Do I respect the gangster? You motherfucking right. And that's my only tidbits on Tywin. That's not that insightful, but that's just what I think when I think of that guy.
I think that was quite insightful. And the one thing I do want to jump in and piggyback off of you of is that's why I started off in saying that Tywin is a true firstborn. His father wasn't the firstborn. His father ended up becoming the ruler of Castle Rock because the older brother died.
Right. I forgot about that. Good one.
Right. And so his father, Tywin's father, wasn't a firstborn. He wasn't even, he was never really in line to be the heir. Tydos was kind of like Benjen of the Starks, right? He was like the Benjen because it wasn't really.
I appreciate you sullying Benjen's good name like that, man.
I'm not trying to sully him. I'm just trying to say how far down he was. I think he was like the third brother or the fourth, the second brother. I think he was the second in line. But I can't compare him to Ned because Ned was a little bit more stern, right? As compared to Brandon. But we're going to talk about the Stark brothers in another stream. We'll talk about them. But yeah, Tydos wasn't the firstborn. He wasn't actually the person that was supposed to take over Castle Rock. He only ended up being the ruler because his grandfather died, his father died unexpectedly, and I think and then he ended up having, tag, he was it, right? And so there was a huge difference between Tywin and Tydos. So Tywin already knew by being the firstborn, he was going to be the heir. So he had a different attitude. He already had, and if we are going by the rules of medieval society and how that works, there is a succession whenever you have a seat, whether you're wherever you are in the hierarchy, right? And so since Tywin was going to be the heir because he was the firstborn, there were certain responsibilities and expectations that were put on him. And he automatically assumed that role, knowing that, because that is the society into which he was born. So I agree with you, AK, on a lot of those points. Lady D, do you have anything you wanna answer to that as to why Tywin was the way that he was, or why he felt the need to be so strict and so hard?
I think that Tywin felt the need to be so strict and so hard because his father was so ineffectual. And I don't really have as much sympathy, I guess, for Tywin Lannister. Tywin Lannister was the ruler of Castle Rock under three kings, three drastically different kings at that. He should understand how things work. And his brothers, they all died by the time it was like 13, 14. So you have been ruling the rock for 40 some years. You didn't learn anything. Like, in all that time, you didn't learn anything. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Tywin Lannister, on the other hand, yes, he knew that he was going to be the heir, but when you see how ineffectual your father is, I think that's what would turn you that way. And Tytos, again, like, remember, his father, Gerald Lannister, was a murderer. Like, that's somebody that is so ruthless that they'll kill a little girl to rule a castle, smother her with a pillow or whatever. So you were raised by a wolf. He's just straight Sansa, I think, like, you were raised by a predator and you out here acting like prey. So I don't really have as much sympathy for him. And as far as Tywin's behavior, because of Tytos' ineffectualness and his weak-mindedness, period, like the whole betrothing Gemma to a Frey thing, like, but people were literally laughing at that. Like, of course, wouldn't you? This is the Game of Thrones, right? Of course, we're going to take advantage of that. Like, you suck. So 10-year-old who should be spoiled Tywin, because your dad will give you everything you want, right? 10-year-old who should be spoiled Tywin is the person who speaks up. He's harder than his father, and he's had it easier than his father, arguably, because his father's father was a straight up murderer. Like, I just don't give him, I don't know, he doesn't get any pass from me, no quarter. And Tywin is just straight up evil. Y'all always saying stuff about Bloodraven. Tywin Lannister is a straight up evil, like, that man is evil. He's evil. Evil!
I love how B comes in with them little tidbits, man.
T, what are your thoughts? And I know you're going to troll, so go ahead.
You said I could, though. It's like, no. Y'all like came up basically with good points. I don't know what else I can actually add to that. I mean, I think he saw what was happening, that his house was going downhill with his father in charge. And so he felt he had to do something. And it's not like that's something that you wouldn't typically see, because you see, like, these kids at the beginning of the book are like 11 and 13. So it's not that surprising to see him wanting to take the lead into making sure his house is okay, which was the smart thing to do, because his father was definitely, if his father continued to in a position of power and Tywin didn't step up, that house would have basically died off. Like, someone would have took over. I'm pretty sure they would have tried to kill him, just because the father wasn't being a strong person. You could tell he didn't have good leadership. But yeah, I mean, y'all made really good points that I'm trying to add to it, but y'all basically said everything. I mean, I'm with B. I don't think like he's this good dude. He's evil. I'll take it a step further. He's a pervert. Like, we're not talking about the perverted shit he's doing. How he's got this weird obsession with hoes. It's always, Tywin's such a war vet and he's so powerful and military. No, he's a fucking pervert. He made the person he thought his kid married, and surprise, surprise. I know I'm solo on this. I don't think he has kids. I think that his sperm is jack shit. And I think it's funny he's doing all this shit for the sake of his children's house, and he ain't really got no fucking kids. Them Aries kids. That's hilarious to me. Let me just have this moment, y'all. He's raising Aries kids to be the leader of his house and the kingdom. Haha. You're not that fucking smart, Tywin. Moving along. But he really is a fucking perv, and no one really talks about that. Everyone talks about the good things, and he's a fucking perv. Like, all his kid wanted was love. Like, Tyrion didn't ask for much. He just wanted his girl and to be chilling. He's like, oh, you want a healthy relationship? Let me fuck it up for you with gold coins. Like, he's disgusting. Like, let's talk about how perverted this guy is. Like, that's his legacy when I look at him. Like, ugh. And then I'm like, you probably got it from your daddy. Like, did he used to watch his daddy when his daddy was walking up? Because remember, his daddy was in the hoes too. So maybe he got that shit from his daddy, you know? That's all I got for him. Like, he's legit a golden pervert.
See, and
go ahead.
That's exactly why I stuck to all the serious stuff, because I knew T-Baby was going to come with all of the extra. And I appreciate it.
T-Baby was straight up like, Tywin stunting like his daddy with these hoes. That's crazy.
I mean,
am I lying
though? T's right though. All how do you think Tyrion used to go and check out what's her name, Aliaya and Shataya and all them secret tunnels from the Tower of the Hand? Tywin built that shit.
Well, his hoes, like, he got an obsession. Your daddy taught you about these hoes. Then you taught your sons about these hoes. And then, like, in some twisted way, the son you so claim he fucking hoes. Yes, Cersei is a hoe. That's what BB knows. She's a hoe.
Both his sons said both his sons fucking hoes, and his daughter's one of them.
It's just weird. It's weird.
It's not a hoe because he's only been with Cersei. So he's technically, as gross as that is, he's not.
I didn't say he was not a hoe. I said he was fucking. Oh, he's fucking a hoe. So it's the same. See, it's the same thing. They got this weird shit with hoes. You can't tell me Cersei ain't a hoe. She for everyone, okay? I mean, if you're royal, if you're family, like that golden box is getting here. You get some. You get some.
What did I tell you later when Tyrion burst his bubble?
What I tell you about Cersei, man? She is the thought of King's Landing. I mean, Mushroom. If Mushroom was around, he probably would have hit that shit too. She had how many dudes all around the castle, plus her little I guess quote unquote bit of strange for her, Taina Mayweather. Let's not forget that.
I'm just saying she's for everyone. So it's an obsession with hoes in his family. Like, it's always, oh, they're so powerful and they're smart and blah. No, they're just fucking creepy. This family is creepy. And everyone gets caught off because they're golden, they got money, and they're pretty. But, like, you strip all of us, like, y'all are fucking weird. Just fucking weird.
I think that Tywin's let's go into this perv behavior for a little bit. Let's touch on that. You'll see it a lot in people who are like Tywin, who put up this facade of having the utmost propriety, like they are the epitome of lordship, yet they have these weird and depraved idiosyncrasies, right? And the person that came to mind when y'all were having this conversation was J. Edgar Hoover, right? I hope everybody knows who J. Edgar Hoover is.
Please read a book if you don't.
He used to like to wear women's underwear. I heard. And he also kept John Dillinger? Who was it? Was it John Dillinger that was considered public enemy number one, that he was chasing down, that he kept his penis in a jar? Like, this dude was weird. Like, J. Edgar Hoover, the father of the FBI, was weird. Okay? So when we find out, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lady B.
And racist.
Yes, definitely a racist. Definitely. Friendly reminder, Black Lives Matter. So you find that in history, a lot of men like him who have that same personality trait have these secret depravities that they have like behind closed doors that you really wouldn't know about until something would to expose that. Like the fact that Tywin was into whores, I think goes back to his father, right? And I think because of the fact that as much as he hated his dad, he wasn't that far off from his dad. And as much as he can't stand Tyrion, he's not that far off from Tyrion because they all like the same things. It's just that he doesn't flaunt it. Tyrion doesn't hide the fact that he sleeps with whores. And apparently Tydos didn't either. He had mistresses after his wife died. He did not remarry. He had mistresses to the point where Tywin, after his father dies, parades his father's mistress through the town of, I think it was Lannisport, for a fortnight. Yeah. Oh, thank you. For a fortnight, 15 days, 14 nights, however you want to call it, for a fortnight, naked through the streets, which ironically happens to his daughter, even though it wasn't for a fortnight. She ends up, suffering the same fate, which is kind of ironic. Anyway, and it's also ironic that Tywin doesn't die a glorious death. He dies
with a piece of shit.
He dies a very embarrassing death, kind of like his dad. So it's like cyclical. It's like a cycle.
Honey boo
boo. Hashtag honey boo boo. Literally boo boo.
I never thought about that.
Talk about nimble dick's a bitch. Them sound like fighting words.
Y'all talking about I'm trolling. That would be trolling. Oh man, but I never thought about, his father did die a shitty way, and then turn around, you die a shitty way. It's like you go through all this stuff so that you could die with dignity, and like you didn't at all. Like everyone, even at your funeral, everybody was like, "You smell like straight up trash." Like, and then I think it was like. I think that was book 4, and Cersei was basically, seeing how everyone was acting towards her father, but everyone was there just to make sure that he was actually dead. They didn't care about this man. They was like, I just need to see the body.
Yeah,
I just think it's funny that he died shitty.
Lady D, you want to add to his reasons behind his pervy, like?
Well, he has mommy issues. That's what's wrong with all of them. They all have mommy issues. Tydos' mom died, right? Then Gerald's like, all their moms died. Tydos' mom died. Tywin's mom died. And Tywin's mom died in the last one. Tyrion's mom died. So, or disappeared, rather. Because Rohan Weber also just disappeared. But the point is they weren't there to raise them. So I think some psychological issues come around with that. And then the other input. So you have callous Gerald Lannister, who is willing to murder a baby girl for power, and then that wife disappears. So I wonder how you become affected with that psychologically. And then the next layer is this fool here whose wife was having an affair, and all 3 of them kids probably ain't yours. And so the one person that is actually your parent and who could give you some type of acceptance in Tyrion's case, love in Tywin's case, who knows in Tydos' case, but
they didn't get that. So I think that translates itself into many ways, just the same way that it did with Aegon. I think the fifth, I think that was the Unworthy, Aegon the Unworthy, when I think he has mommy issues, like you have a lot of yes men around you and your mom's not around. So you're running through all these women looking for love, looking for solace, looking for acceptance, looking for whatever it is you're looking for, and you never really found it. So that's what I think.
Also, maybe, Monero, you could put a pin in this subject. That's a whole other stream right there, is the mommy issues and how many moms are actually missing from this story with our main characters, mostly throughout all these books. Just a thought.
No, that's a good idea, because a lot of them got mommy issues. A lot of them. Like, damn. Where your mama at? Like, oh, she's dead.
Right, my mom.
Most likely their mom.
My mom hates my brother. My mom fucking isn't really my mom. My mom married to my dad, and it's not even my dad. Like, yo, Westeros guys have all of the Jerry Springer, medieval Jerry.
Every Jerry Springer episode ever is Westeros.
They got mommy and daddy issues.
That's so true. I need a Maury. Oh my God, could you imagine Maury in Westeros?
You are not the father.
Sidebar. Put a pin in that one too, because we could turn it into a Maury episode talking about their moms. You are not the father.
I might do a video of that and like splice Tywin's head over like some dudes that's dancing. Like, you know how they start dancing when they're not the father? I might do that, or have him goes and cries in the back. I might do that.
Please,
I'm here for it.
You have to put his face on the woman, and when they find out like you're not mother some shit or the father,
cry.
He just running kids. So stupid.
Yeah, I think I got it.
That was a good laugh. I'm so sad that I laughed at the fact that their mamas is dead. Like, I hate shit, but that's hilarious. All right, let's get back on track. My bad.
It's all good. But I put it down. I put it down on the list because I have a lot of other topics of discussion. So I'm gonna add that one into all of the other ones that I'm gonna be doing. Listen, chat. There's a lot coming. Okay. Don't worry. And I
wanted the Mad Queens. Damn it, we here, bitches. We here.
Okay. We there's a lot coming. Okay. So so let's talk about Tywin and his politics, right? So Tywin, in his mind, Tywin seems to be like portrayed as somebody who's like an all or nothing type of dude. Like he doesn't have middle ground, right? And I say that based on, if you read RAGNORAK'S essay, he kind of alludes to that Tywin is kind of an all or nothing kind of guy. Like, he's not much of a negotiator. Like, it's either you do this or you suffer this consequence. Like, there isn't like a middle ground where we can have a discussion or anything like that. It's evident in when he tries to get all the debts that were owed to his family and to his house, when he tried to get the money for those things from the Tarbecks and the Rains, and they were pushing back. By the time he's like, okay, I've had enough, he goes and he annihilates both houses. Like, annihilates, like, they're all done, right? It's the same thing when you read the story about when Aerys goes to Duskendale and he's held hostage in Duskendale, which is, I would love to do a stream about that. What really happened to Aerys when he was in Duskendale?
Oh, let's go.
Okay, I really want to do a stream about that.
Yes.
I think that will be a very good discussion. So don't worry, it's on my list. I'm telling y'all, I got things, stuff is gonna be talked about. Y'all need to like hold on to your panties and in your drawers, okay? Hold on to your drawers, okay? So that is the discussion that's coming. So he was willing to annihilate all of Duskendale. Like he wasn't trying to negotiate at all. So that's another thing. And the whole thing with Robb Stark, right? He knew he couldn't beat Robb Stark on the field because Robb Stark was outsmarting him, right? Because he thought he had Robb Stark pegged, but he didn't. So he decided to go the alternate route, right? So he knows Robb Stark because of who the Northmen are. The Northmen are not really hard to figure out. They're very transparent in how they do things. They're very, honorable, quote unquote honorable. They're very straightforward. They do the right thing. They're the type of men or type of people who do the right thing. And knowing that, he sets Robb Stark up. He knows that the Freys are opportunists, and he plays on that. He knows that Roose Bolton is also an opportunist. He also plays on that, which is how we ended up with, the Red Wedding, right? When he has that conversation with Tyrion about some wars are won I think he says something to the effect of some wars are won in the battlefield and some are won with pens and quills, right? So, or ravens or something like that. I'm not quoting it directly, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, right? And correct. So it was an all or nothing type of deal. He wasn't into the negotiating. He wasn't trying to negotiate with the Starks, with the Tullys, or none of the Riverlands. It was like an all or nothing. And he knew by getting rid of Robb Stark, all of the other pieces were going to fall, right? The minute that he set up Robb Stark and Robb Stark ended up getting married to Jane Westerling, he already had him. He knew that already. He just needed an in, and the Westerlings gave him that, right? And so once he had the Freys on board, he already had Roose, because again, all of those people were opportunists. So Tywin doesn't do the negotiating. He's an all or nothing type of dude, right? And so in that, why do you suspect that he doesn't feel the need? He doesn't feel like there's a need or any place for negotiating, right? Even after he had, restored his house's name, right? When he got rid of the Tarbecks, he got rid of the Rains, he restored his family's honor. He did all of that. Why do you think he still needed to operate in that, use that as his operatus mundi? Like that was his MO. Like he had to do an all or nothing type of deal. Like he couldn't find a middle ground. Why do you think that he felt that he had to continue in that same vein? Do you think it's because this is the reputation that I've built, and if I do something otherwise, then I might lose face? Or which probably more so is the more obvious answer is because he just didn't give a fuck, for lack of a better word. Let's go with you, Lady V. Let's go with you first.
I think that Tywin is smart enough, like we see with the Bravosi, right? And them taking 1,000 years, however it took to uncover themselves, and how now still after all of these generations are now free. These people aren't enslaved anymore. They still have a shipyard that is able to build a galleon a day. Like they mean it. If we got to put everybody on a ship and get them up out of here, we're going to be able to do it because we're Bravos. In a week, we could have enough ships to, carry the whole populace or less. Who knows what happens if they ramp up production to where they're 24 hours a day? We don't know how they build their ships. So I think that Tywin is in the same vein where proper preparation, prevents piss poor performance. if I keep you scared, I don't have to worry about anything. I mean, take a cue from the U.S. government. If I just step on your neck long enough, eventually I don't even have to step anymore. You'll start stepping on each other's necks in order to make sure that nothing goes out of line. So I don't got to kill all y'all again, you know? And that's what I think it is with Tywin. He's just like, I'm smart enough to understand the Game of Thrones. And this is probably where Cersei gets it from. Think about it. She's just a little freaking Tywin that puppets all his crap. You either live or you die. In the Game of Thrones, you either live or you die. So I'm not about to sit here and let y'all live on me, because that means I'm going to die. I would much rather continue to be Tywin, MF, and Lannister and keep my foot on your necks so that I can ensure the continuation of my family. And I mean, I also think that once he had children, he really couldn't let up, because it's like, well, I see who my kids are. I know how conniving but like ridiculous Cersei is. I know that Jaime, as much as I love him, is an idiot. Can you imagine like being Tywin Lannister and being like, my boy, he's a dummy. He's so dumb. Like he has to deal with that. Like, and you have Tyrion, but Tyrion is everything that you hate. But at the same time, he's your best bet at the continuance of a legacy from that view, you know, being able to keep the house together. So I think he did what he had to do in order to instill fear to keep his house on top. And then once he had kids and they started to grow up, he's doing what he has to do, because it's like, I need to leave a legacy strong enough that'll endure like the Targaryens until we get a good one to pop up, because right now ain't none of y'all doing what you're supposed to do.
You know what? That's a really good way of putting it, with putting it to American politics. But fucking Tywin. That's, I'll say, when I think of Tywin, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Fucking Tywin. Like, why do you do the damn things you do? Like, why must you be this way? You know, I gotta think that Tywin had to have known, like Lady D was saying, that all of his kids were fuck ups. And the one that was the least of a fuck up was the one that you gave all the shit to, because of that kid, you had to get rid of your wife. And that was the last time that Tywin smiled or whatnot. So it's like he could have felt a little bit of something. You know, Tyrion's life probably could have been better had Joanna stayed around. Well, if she was allowed to stay around. But it's the thing with missing moms. You know, Tywin, he has to keep that fear, because why wouldn't he? I mean, just look at everything he's done. Like, he loves hoes, but you know, his dad's hoe, you know, we already talked about what he did. And even before the parading her around Lannisport, did he beat her, or there's a whole kerfluffle because he caught her like wearing his mom's clothes or jewelry or some shit, and he went the fuck off. So this is the mindset of this guy. He's petty as fuck. You know, we were talking about petty characters the other day. This is where Cersei gets her pettiness from. You know, he would have sacrificed the whole of Duskendale, not, mind you, not to save Aerys. If you look at his actions during that whole thing, he didn't give a fuck about saving Aerys. You know, and they straight asked him, well, what about the king? And Tywin said, we have a better king right there, pointing at Rhaegar. He was already set to get Aerys the fuck out of there. And if he could do it in a way that there's nobody would turn an eye on him to say he helped to you know, some back alley deal to get rid of the king, even better. He let him sit in a dungeon for a year, y'all, a year. Aerys is fucked up in the head for a reason. The motherfucker was in a dark, dank dungeon, probably being all kinds of assaulted and terrorized the whole damn time. And he was willing to let that shit go. If Barristan Selmy had not stepped up and said, look, give me a little bit, let me run through here, see what I can do, and then if I don't succeed, then fine, whatever, you know, kill everybody, do whatever, but let me go try first. And, you know, Barristan's that dude, so how the fuck could he fail? But that's it. That's just Tywin's thoughts. You know, he always wants to be in control. He wants as much power as he can bring to the Lannister name, because, you know, it's always about the name. You know, you have to act accordingly, like Jaime, again, with his kids being dumbasses. Jaime wasn't necessarily just a dumbass, but he was also dyslexic. If you read when they're talking about Jaime coming up and him going through all of his lessons, Tywin would not accept that. Being dyslexic is a real thing. You know, in the Middle Ages, they couldn't really diagnose that. But he actually took and sat this boy down for like, it was like 4 or 5 hours a day for a few months himself to make sure Jaime got over that shit. And to this day, Jaime's still dyslexic. He just handles it a little bit better because his father pounded his ass about it. Like that's how fucked up in the head Tywin is. You have a defect that you really can't do that much about, that you're born with. It doesn't matter. No, you are a Lannister and you're going to do what the fuck I tell you to do and act how a person with our name is supposed to act. And there's also a flip side to that. You know, he would have gotten rid of Tyrion, but he couldn't necessarily prove that Tyrion wasn't his. It's the only reason Tyrion's still alive. That's how petty this motherfucker is. So what are you gonna do? It's just his mentality. All that shit, you know, like Lady D said, his grandpops was that guy. That's where he got all of his ruthless training from. He didn't give a fuck about his dad. And sadly, I mean, well, maybe not sadly, but he wasn't able to pass that shit on to any of his offsprings because all of them had some issues. And honestly, he probably only ever had one son, but he can't accept that because he's petty. How could he, the great Tywin Lannister, ever be the father of a dwarf that supposedly looks like a gargoyle? You know, forget Peter Dinklage, okay? That guy's too handsome to be playing Tyrion, quite honestly. Tyrion is not a handsome dude at all. Peter Dinklage could walk anywhere and get whatever woman he wants. Can't say the same about that for Tyrion. Well, he's a Lannister, so you kind of can, but that's because he has money. That's it. If he was a regular, like what did he say? If you're gonna be a dwarf, then it's better to be a rich dwarf. And that, you know, so that's Tywin's mentality. He's all of the petty. All of the petty. Like one of my favorite things to watch is that little I guess talk off, you know, battle of wills with him and Lady Olenna. Freaking gold to see them bouncing off of each other. But still, they're both petty as shit. Tywin doesn't know how to change. There's no way he could ever change from being the person that he was. He is too rimrod straight on his thoughts and views and how things are supposed to be. And if you don't fall in line where and when he wants you to, if he can, he's going to hurt you for that. That's just who he is.
T-Baby, do you want to add like anything with respect to Tywin and his all or nothing type of mindset?
I mean, damn, y'all make such good points. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna add to this? Like, the only thing I guess I could add is that what makes him stand out is, well, I guess against Robb, is that he had experience. Like he dealt with the 9 Petty King War. He dealt with the sack of King's Landing. Then you had what else? And then you know the reign of Casimir. So at an early age, I think what he saw was what happens when you are weak. Like he physically saw what happens when you don't take the lead, when you don't show fear, when you're too lenient towards people. They will literally be the downfall of your house. So with that being said, yeah, it makes total sense that this is what kind of molded him to be this type of person. I want to say it was Human in the chat who made a good point and said, you know, typically when you have parents that are really strict, you usually have rebellious children, and usually, you know, if they're more laid back, then, you know, they become a little strict, which then I don't get how I came to be, because I'm telling you guys, it was a combo. But she made a good point. So it's seen in that perspective, I'm like, yeah, I can understand why he's ruthless, because he's seen firsthand, like, if you don't play your cards right, that's your house. And he literally took 2 houses out. So, and then once you do that, you can't go back to being Saul, because it's like you already left like a bad taste in people's mouths, but they fear you because they don't want to be connected with you. They don't want to be the next house up for, to be on the chopping block. And then also, as far as like, I guess when you guys were talking about Tywin, as far as how he handled Robb and everything, once again, that comes from him having experience. I mean, you have to think about it. Robb didn't know about, the plans before when they were thinking about taking down the Mad King. So he doesn't know about these alliances. He doesn't know about, this house you might need to protect. Because his mom was helping him out. I will not take that from her, but she was not giving him all the information. She was just feeding him what she thought he needed to know. And that could have definitely been their downfall, because you didn't tell him everything. Because it does go back to, Ned gave her certain instructions to do, and she didn't do everything Ned wanted her to do. And then also that also compares to Ned, like when Ned started realizing they were going to be in war, he started prepping. Same thing with Tywin. He knows he's going to war. Now, I will say he's caught off guard that Robb was winning some of these wars and that he was outsmarting him. He was surprised at that. But like I said, it comes through experience. Okay, I'm not going to win in the battlefield. I got to win politically. And that's basically all you see within this whole book series. You'll see people who they're fighting, but that most of these fights start in someone's bedroom, in a chamber, in a hallway. This is where like the real fighting is getting this person on your side, threatening this person with that house. It's really all about politics. And that's why I love the second book, because the second book really was setting up all the big shit that happened book 3, 4, and 5. Like some shit still hasn't happened that was set up in book 2. Love book 2. So that's all I'm going to say is nice things about Tywin, is that I will give him credit. He has the experience, which he's learned and used that in order to maintain his house, but also put them in a good position where they have this power. Because like you said, I forgot which y'all brought it up, but Tyrion yells out, when I think he gets captured at one point and he yells out, my father will pay for, the law. It's like their money and their name holds a lot of weight all the way up to the north. So you got to give him credit on that. But that is all I will give Tywin credit for, is that he will make sure that he puts his family in a position to make sure they're successful. But that's the extent, because he got dumbass kids, okay? Cersei, yeah, she's like a baby Tywin, but he never taught her. She's just on the outside looking in, so she's not thinking shit through. So it's like, she's like a dumbass Tywin, and that's no good. You can't act like Tywin but not be smart like Tywin. It don't fucking work. And clearly we see it, because her plans always backfire. Jaime, another golden dumbass. It's too easy. I don't even want to go on him. Tyrion, like you said, he's the only one that's closest to him, but it's because you actually prepared Tyrion in certain ways. You thought it was going to be humiliating for him to give him the sewers and all this other stuff, but what you were doing was prepping him, so now he knows the city in and out. It's like you think, and then it's like sometimes I think maybe he did that as a backup, because like you said before, at one point he's looking at Jaime as this is the heir. And then at the next point, if he's up on the chopping block, so be it. He's not going to risk his family just to grab his son, even though, he went to war to get his dumbass son. But still, like, he was thinking if Jaime got to go, he got to go. So he looks at his kids like pieces and that they can be replaced. Like Cersei was shipped off, like, you got to marry him. Like, you need to secure the crown so we're good. So that's all I got to say, because no matter what, he's just a pervert to me. And that's what we really need to discuss, is that he's a pervert, okay? fuck his legacy, okay? His legacy is that he's a pervert who likes to do perverted things. And it's funny because you got caught with a hoe, your daddy got caught with a hoe, your son probably gonna get caught with another hoe. It's like, nah, let me leave that man alone.
No, see, and another thing actually this was
okay, so let's sorry.
What? Hold on. Just one last thing that I was reminded of. Tywin is also very good at ignoring shit that he doesn't truly want to deal with. Case in point, Cersei and motherfucking Jaime. Joanna caught these two little nasty ass bastards fucking around when they were like 10. She sent Cersei's ass all the way to the other fucking side of Casterly Rock. What father is not going to see that and think, what the fuck is happening here? And I can't see in my head that Joanna wouldn't actually tell him what was going down. It just, it doesn't make sense. And then he, looked like it was all surprised when all the rumors and shit started flying. Like, bruh, come on, man. Come on.
A hoe know a hoe, okay? You know your kids was doing that nasty shit. You know they was. But like I said, he's a pervert, so he letting the shit ride, okay? The only time I think, and it's only because he doesn't think that Tyrion is his, but I think the only time he would like throw a big fit is if it was like Tyrion and Cersei messing around. Then I feel like he would like jump in and be like, we gotta separate y'all, blah, blah, blah. But he's a fucking perv, so he's probably like, fuck it. As long as they don't let that shit get out of hand, I genuinely don't think he cares. I think as long as it's not public, he don't care. Because most of these dudes are not fucking good fathers. Like, Ned is really an exception of all of this because all of these other dudes are like deadbeat dads, and it shows. Look at how their kids turned out.
Facts.
Just saying.
All facts.
So not only is he a pervert, but he's also a horrible father, but also a war vet and all that.
Give this man his props for being a war vet.
I did. I said he's a war vet, but let's not turn a blind eye that he's creepy. He's a pervert. He has a weird obsession with hoes. Okay. And he's a deadbeat dad, but he is a good war vet. He is a good war vet, but he's a pervert, a golden one at that.
Okay, so I want to end.
And then, like, you double dipped on your son. I'm sorry. You double dipped on your son because you knew that was your son's hoe, so you know he was. See, and I think he liked that shit. That's why I'm saying he nasty, y'all. He fucking nasty. Let me shut up. I'm good.
Oh my God.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so I wanna end the Tywin discussion on how he ends. So Tywin has been making a lot of political maneuvers since Robert Baratheon dies, right? And he goes into this war. He makes these alliances. He makes a lot of political moves. To the point where he secures the Iron Throne for his grandson. And he starts to, bring about, quote unquote, peace to the realm. But apparently things go wrong, and he ends up paying the ultimate price for that. So my question is, at what point do you think that things actually started going wrong for Tywin that ultimately resulted to him dying? And I think he was already dying before Tyrion shot him, based on when you read about his funeral, about the way that his face looks all weird, like he's smiling and he has like this smell on him. And at the time when Tyrion finds him in the privy, he was having a hard time trying to, go. Anyway.
Real quick, Monero, can I please give a shout out to Luke from DRAWBRIDGE Media? Welcome. Salute, my friend. Please send Abby and the kids all of our love from the Mad Queens.
Most definitely. So at what point do you think, throughout all of this political maneuvering that he had been doing, Where did he lose sight? Because he was, love it or hate it, he was winning. But somewhere along the line, he lost sight. Something went wrong. And at what point do you think that happened? T, I'll start with you.
I think it was probably inevitable just because of all the stuff he did in the past. When you really think about it, he didn't have true allies. He had people that were scared of him, and they had no choice but to work with him or they're the next house. So that's one big thing. And it's like, what's the dude from Dorne?
Oberyn.
I was about to say Happy Feet. Yeah, him. So it wasn't he like plotting. I know I ain't shit, y'all, but this is how I remember people. So I really ain't shit for that. I get it. But he was also plotting like years to go against Tywin, so it was inevitable. Just like Oberyn, like I'm with you. I think he got poisoned. I think by him. So I think that it was going to happen no matter what. I think his true downfall was once Joffrey became king. And then it was like, okay, Joffrey's out of control. I'm not there. That's why he sent Tyrion there to handle stuff while he tried to handle Robb, because he literally couldn't do it, two things at once. But he knew the importance to hurry up and get King's Landing under control, because if he didn't, that was it. So when I think about it, the downfall was definitely once. But then you know what? It could be early as when Jaime got captured, because he was forced to make a move. So it could be that. But no, yeah, once Robert, no, it's his goofy ass daughter, because she killed the man. Yeah, his kids were his downfall. That's what I'll say. That is it. It's so fucking funny because it come back to his dumb ass kids. And they supposed to be, and it's funny because they're supposed to be the Lannisters, land of the clever, but they not clever for nothing. I mean, your daughter's goofy as shit, and basically, yeah, she's going to most likely be the downfall of your house because you ain't teach her shit. It's like stupid. But yeah, it's his dumbass kids that is downfall, and it's fucked up but funny at the same time, because you doing all this shit to set your kids up for success, and they are literally the reason why your house is about to be, destroyed, because you didn't teach them all the way. Like, you set them up, you were really good. It's kind of like, I forgot who said this, but they talked about like Jordan. Jordan is like a really good basketball player, but he wouldn't necessarily be a good coach. That's how I view Tywin. You're a really good war veteran. You're really good at what you do. But when it comes to actually sharing this knowledge and putting your other people in your family in positions, not only in positions, but also give them the knowledge and stuff to put them in these positions to secure it, he failed in that. So my final answer is his dumbass kids are his downfall. Okay.
AK?
I'm kind of going to second that, because when you look at all of the actions that everyone was doing, Tywin, again, he like I said, he ignores things that he doesn't think are really important, and he just turns a blind eye to stuff. Had he really been paying attention long before this, he would have seen some of the fuck shit about his grandson, and he would have been there sooner, I think, to make sure to get Joffrey to do what Joffrey actually needed to do, because Cersei could not handle that boy. She put all her eggs in the wrong damn Lannister heir basket and fucked the whole thing up. And had Tywin been there, and there's a scene, that scene when Tywin's first getting back to King's Landing, and he rides into the throne room on his horse, and nobody could say shit to him at all. And then there's another time where Tywin is just walking in, and he straight walks up the steps, and Charles Dance is such a fucking great actor. The look on his face literally had Joffrey squirming on the throne. The king of the land is afraid of his grandfather. And for whatever Tywin's reasons, he did not spend enough time into getting into that boy's head. Because if anyone could have, Tywin could have. And he would have been able to quell him. I mean, he literally sent this motherfucker to sleep in the middle of the day. Mason, what do you want when you escort the king back to his rooms? He seems tired. Maybe some milk of the poppy for him. Bright ass sunlight outside. It's probably only like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And he's sending this little asshole to bed. Like that's Tywin. That's the heaviness that is behind that. And you know, Joffrey tried to scream, I'm not tired, but you standing there still looking like an petulant child. And you know what? Joffrey took his ass to bed. He didn't have no fucking choice. That is the type of heavy hand that was needed to try to control Joffrey, but Tywin got there far too late. And you see all of Joffrey's actions while Tywin wasn't around and he just had Cersei to teach him and give him lessons. Everything is fucked up from that point on. Like Tywin even said, you know, if you hadn't killed Ned, we actually could have had some better bargaining chips. If y'all didn't let this other little girl out of your sights and get away, then we could have had another good bargaining chip and have a leg up. But you didn't do that. One is dead and the other's missing, and they also think that Arya is dead. And that's where the whole shit started, right there. When shit popped off in King's Landing, that was the beginning of the end for House Lannister and Tywin in particular. So yeah, fuck them kids.
For real, fuck them kids. But that's why I love AK. I forgot. Cersei is also a shitty ass mom. So not only did the golden bitch raise these golden dumbasses, but then it's like a cycle because then Cersei raised another group of golden dumbasses. I mean, your son, the first one that you really put, like she really legit tried to be a mom to the first one. We saw how that shit worked. But when you don't mess with your kids, for some reason they are decent. They're kind of stupid. I know you shouldn't be calling kids stupid, but I mean, Danny is 13 riding dragons, so I gotta put them on the scale like, nah, your kids is kind of slow out here. So yeah, you're right. This is just let you know it's just a line of fucking dumbasses. I love you, AK. You make total sense. It's like a light bulb just popped up in front of me. You're right. Shitty ass parenting. That's what killed them. But then again, you also got to remember everyone was scared of Tywin, so I can't really blame him for like being scared of Tywin because everybody and their mama was. But yeah, I agree with everything AK said.
What about you, Lady B? Where do you think was the beginning of Tywin's downfall?
I'm of the same mind as everyone else, basically. I think Tywin's downfall specifically was when Robert Baratheon died. When Robert Baratheon died and there was no House Lannister plan to figure out how to really secure this thing, and it was just Cersei out there figuring it out on her own. I think that was his downfall. In essence, it was Joffrey. Joffrey Baratheon / Lannister was his downfall. Because Olenna Tyrell killed him, and he can't tell me that Olenna Tyrell didn't have something to do with killing Tywin. Because once you take out Tywin, then that's it. That's the rock. The rest of them are, you know what I'm saying? You can split them up and kill them off, pick them off one by one. And yeah, it might have been a group effort to kill them both, Joffrey and Tywin. I still think that if Joffrey wasn't as sadistic and cruel as he was, and, you know, because the reality is the Tyrells were down with some type of rebellion or rebellionistic attitude. They just wanted the power. So in the event that, you know, Marjorie would have been able to be with Joffrey and Joffrey not be a complete sicko, then things would have worked out. But because he was a complete sicko, Olenna asked Sansa 6.3 questions and was like, yep, nah, I gotta kill him. She decided right there, like, yeah, some of the kill this fool. Like, she didn't even, she was just like, oh, tell me about him. How is he? Oh, he's a monster. He's this. oh, don't worry, child, you can trust me. Keep talking. Cool. Like, not even 5 minutes into the conversation, she was already like, oh, I gotta kill him. So I think that if it wasn't for Joffrey being as sadistic as he was after the death of his father, or quote father, then we wouldn't have a dead Tywin Lannister. So it's kind of funny because it's nothing that he did directly. It was his grandchildren and, by extension, his children.
That is a very good point. I forgot all about Olenna in that. And also, Tywin fucked up when he tried to sweet talk the Martells into coming back into the Seven Kingdoms like they were in the past. You put Oberyn in the vicinity of the biggest target he's been trying to go for years. Damn near a decade, this man and his brother have been scheming, and then you invite him into your house. You literally open the fucking gate. Did you not think something was going to happen? The man is known as the Red Viper, not just because he's a badass with a spear, but because he very, very specifically, and everyone knows it, deals in poisons. How could you really think you were going to be able to sweet talk him into doing any damn thing that he didn't want to do? Just don't make sense.
I don't think I agree, but I think also he was thinking along the same lines that Tyrion had thought, which is why Tyrion had reached out to Dorne and made the marriage alliance between Myrcella and Trystane. Is that because they knew they needed to have Dorne on their side, because Dorne is throughout history. Everybody wanted to make sure that they had Dorne on their side. Whether when the Targaryens first conquered Westeros, throughout the whole history of the Targaryens, they had been trying to quell quell Dorne, or they wanted to have Dorne as an ally. And the way that they ended up achieving that was through marriage alliance, right? And I think that's the same thought process that Tyrion had when he decided to make a marriage alliance between Myrcella and Trystane with Dorne, in the hopes of trying to kind of, I won't say heal, but try to kind of appease them, and also try to keep them on their side, because they didn't want Dorne as an enemy. And Tywin was willing to give up the mountain at that point, because they had already secured the kingdom already, because Joffrey was already sitting on the Iron Throne. So they were good. As far as Tywin was concerned, he was good. So he was willing to give up the mountain to Dorne to appease them. He was willing to give him up. I don't think Gregor knew that, but he was willing to give him up if it meant that it would keep the peace with Dorne.
That's why people don't like Dorne, I think.
I'm sorry.
I said I think that's why people don't like Dorne. Like in general, when you hear people talk about the Dornish, it's always in a negative way. I don't think it's because any of them have had too horrible dealings with Dorne. I mean, the Reach has, but that's just because they're actually in close vicinity. But Dorne is the only one that was able to come into the realm on their own damn terms. They beat out the Targaryens with dragons, and that's why motherfuckers don't like Dornish. Yeah. Because they see that strength, and they're like, well, who the fuck do these bastards think they are?
And that was one of the main things. That was one of the main things that drove the Blackfire Rebellion, because of the fact that they, Daron, I can never say their names right. Aegon's son, Daron, was married to a Dornish. He had Dornish children. He had Dornish people in the court, and nobody could stand the Dornish, and that caused a rift, which is one of the things that led to the first Blackfire Rebellion. So you're right in that regard. T, you had something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, you guys kind of went on another lane. I was just going to agree that well, not agree, but just add my 2 cents that you also got to realize that he still didn't really have a choice because the North was basically open rebellion because they killed off Ned, which means that now the Riverlands is questionable from the Tullys, and he wasn't secure about the Vale. So then I think when he invited Oberyn, he had no choice but to extend an olive branch because he had way too many big houses that if they were to do what the original plan was to all get together to come, he knows that that could possibly be something. So he has to try to separate this as soon as possible. So I think even though that is possibly it is his downfall, he's forced in a situation where he has to make take the taken as fast as he did. But when you have open rebellion and then you have an unruly king that you can't control, which I would not put it past him if Lady Olenna didn't kill Joffrey, I would not be surprised if Tywin possibly put him in a position where he would get killed. Not to say that he would hire someone to kill him. I think Tywin's way too smart for that. I feel like he would put Joffrey in a position where he would get killed. Just because he needs him out, he's not someone he can control. And Joffrey could definitely be the potential of their downfall. And Joffrey definitely was a big reason why, a lot of houses probably wouldn't have ran to their aid like that. So yeah, I feel like he was basically pushed in that position to actually extend an olive branch to Dorne. Because if he didn't, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't. But when you think about it, he had way too many potential. I won't say they were definitely, against him, but that was way too risky for him not to try to bring other houses into fold. And when it came to the Tyrells, like we knew that the crown was in debt, so he needs money. So even though he's like, if I'm in control of the situation, we can bring them in. But if I'm not there, he saw what was happening where they were starting to get control over Cersei's sons. So yeah. So I'm just going to agree with you, but I feel like his back was against the wall and he had to make those risks. But he's still a golden dumbass and a pervert.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He had to make that concession. He didn't really have much of a choice. He didn't really. So I think in the end, Tywin did not really where Tywin went wrong. Oh, that was a tongue twister for me. Where Tywin went wrong in his politics is he didn't really make any really strong alliances with any of the great houses. Instead, in ruling through fear, you can't rule through fear, because at some point, when you rule through fear, you sow the seeds of eventual rebellion. That's what happened with Ares. That's what happened with the Lannisters. In any house that ever ruled through fear, you sow the seeds of rebellion. And he already knew that none of the houses loved him. But you hear all the time that Tywin didn't want anybody to love him. He preferred people to fear him. But at the same time, he wasn't politically savvy enough to make any strong alliances with any of the houses in any way. Nor did he really prepare his children to be politically savvy enough. Well, except for Tyrion. Tyrion kind of learned on his own. Tyrion was more of a great observant. He was very observant. He was very, astute, and he picked up a lot of stuff. Tywin, on the other hand, he even though he was very politically aware, he wasn't really savvy enough to understand that fear is not the only way to rule. You need to make alliances in order for you to be able to secure things among, and when you don't do that, this is what you end up with. I think that they probably, I agree with T that he probably would have at some point gotten rid of Joffrey because Joffrey was like the weakest link. At some point, he would have had to get rid of him because he would have been able to get nowhere with any of the great Howard, with any of the other houses, with Joffrey still on the throne, even though he would have been hand of the king. Because it was the same thing with Aerys. Aerys was, you know, I think Aerys went crazy because of Duskendale, but that's just my own thoughts. Yeah, we're going to talk about this whole Duskendale, the Aerys being a prisoner in Duskendale thing, because I think that is a very good discussion to have. But yeah, I agree. He probably would have had, if he didn't get rid of Joffrey, he would have found a way to keep him. I don't know. He probably might have pulled an alleged Richard II and locked him in a tower somewhere and said that he wasn't available to see anybody and that he would be running the realm from now on or something like that. I don't know. He probably would have, ended up doing something like that because he was trying to get rid of Cersei because he was like, yo, Cersei, you're not serving me any purpose here. You need to go. He got Jaime to agree to be the Lord of Casterly Rock with respect because he was going to allow Tyrion to live. But, that didn't work out because Tyrion requested trial by combat. So that kind of pulled a wrench in that plan. So sorry.
Just a quick question. Do you think that maybe Tywin, not necessarily that he was involved with Olenna poisoning Joffrey, but I feel like he knew and allowed it to happen? What do y'all think about that?
I don't know that he knew that. I don't think he was that aware. I don't think so. I think by the time he's in King's Landing and everything is going the way that he wants it to go, I think he was full of himself. I think he was complacent about the loyalties of all of the people that were there. I mean, he knew that they didn't really like him. He didn't really care about that. But I think he was complacent on whether or not they would try to do anything to either him or any member of his household. I think he thought just because their daughter was getting ready to be queen, that would have been enough for them to toe the line. I don't think he would have expected that they would have killed Joffrey because without Joffrey, how could Marjorie be queen? At least that's the way that it's playing in my mind. So I don't think he was aware that they would have tried to kill Joffrey or poison Joffrey. Just like I don't think he was aware that they would try to kill him or poison him at all. I don't think that was in his frame of thought because he thought that he had beaten the game and had won and had did everything that he needed to do and secured everything. And so now he was going to settle in and be the hand of the king and go back to ruling and bringing peace to the realm. And under the Lannister banner, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Does anybody else have anything else to add to that?
I will say, at first I was thinking about it, and I was like, no, there's no way. But he was so cool with putting Tyrion in a position to die. So I cannot put it past him that he wouldn't put baby boy in a position where he might possibly die. I don't put it past him, but yeah, I think as far as like the poisoning thing, I don't think it would look bad on his house. That's the big issue. If it didn't make it look bad on his house, then yeah, I think he would have been for it, even if he found out or knew. But I'm with you. I don't think he knew about the poisoning him because that's a threat to his house. That's saying I can take you out or anyone out. And that doesn't look right and it probably doesn't feel right to him for them to have that much control. Yeah, it would be like, yeah, you got rid of something that was troublesome for me, but the way that you did it is also troublesome for me because not only are you saying that I can be exposed that easily, and that for something like to poison him to go under my nose, that would be unsettling for him. So I don't think that he would go along with it. And it's only off of ego, nothing else. It's just pure ego and how it looks for his house, because it's all about perception. How does my house look? How are we a powerful house? Are we a strong house? You know, do they fear us? All of that. It's all about perception with him. So the way that they killed him, no. And the fact that it wasn't like they came to discuss it with him, they just did it on their own accord. So that means he has no control over the situation. So that is another flag where it's like, no, he probably wouldn't, you know, go for it if he knew that they poisoned him, or even if he found out, he would have done something, because like I said, that's a direct threat to their house, because I think they're the second richest family in Westeros. So you can't, yeah, so hell no. You the second richest, and like in the books, I still think they have their money, but let's just say that they end up going broke or something, because they are putting a lot of money into the crown. So that is a thing.
They're broke in the book.
So yeah, they not, that's way too much power for you to rival me with money, and then on top of that have that type of thing where you feel as though you can take out my grandchild with not even discussing, like we could all be in the same court that, you know, he's a problem and he's going to be the downfall of both houses if we don't, you know, come to a solution. But yeah, too much money and too much power, that's not going to settle for him, because that could be the downfall of his house. That's what I'm going to say.
I think that, just to jump in, I don't know that he necessarily knew that Joffrey was going to die, but I don't think that he was sleeping on the possibility of something happening to him or members of his house. I think that Jaime being captured woke him right on up out of that little fallacy dream that he'd been in for the last 15 years. And that's my daughter, so yeah.
She told you what you even doing on this YouTube right now. Like, look, I let you chill over the weekend, man.
Exactly. Your baby like, all right, now my bedtime coming up. Wrap this shit up. I can just see her baby doing this. Wrap it up, mama.
Where's my bottle of milk? Where's my bedtime song? My blankie, please.
Like Dave Chappelle, like on the Dave Chappelle show. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up, B.
We were just talking about Dave Chappelle, giving out lines about Dave Chappelle. I miss that show. I miss it so much. But Pillow Talk, he was like, you said we was going to go to the next person 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap it up here, because Tywin was a lot to unpack. Like he played a huge role in a lot of the politics of the Game of Thrones series, and how a lot of other people made moves because of the moves that he was making, and how he kind of drove a lot of the decisions, like the Tyrell, like he drove the decisions that Tyrells made. He drove the decision that the Freys made, because of and everybody who intertwined themselves with Tywin are gonna, you know, they are going to get their comeuppance. Like example, the Freys, the Boltons. I mean, they are gonna be in for a world of hurt coming up, I believe, in the Winds of Winter. So, you know, whatever. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna do a part 2, and in the part 2 we'll talk about the other 3 brothers, because Kevan is another one that is probably gonna be that we're gonna need to do a deep dive in also, because he's kind of picking up where Tywin left off. And then we'll talk about Tig and Gerion, because we don't really have that much, but it kind of gives us a little bit of an insight as to what role they played in the Lannister family as Tywin's brothers, and how they kind of, where they found their place within the family. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to put them off into the next discussion. So we'll do a part 2 and include them, and then we'll do a part 3 where we'll talk about Jamie and Tyrion. You had something to add?
Well, I just wanted to say we should do the lesser brothers first before we dive into what's the little brother's
Kevan?
name? I don't know. Yeah, him. I don't like him either. I think he's a bitch too. But because he has so much information, we should do the 2 brothers first. Knock them out real quick before because I could see us getting into him and then never getting to them other brothers. So
yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we can do that. That's actually a good idea. So we'll do that. I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out with us while we had this discussion. I hope that you all enjoyed it, and I hope to see y'all in the next one. If you happen to catch this on replay, please leave any comments or any questions that you have in the down below in the comment section. Or if any of you in the chat have any questions that you would like answered, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. Or if you think of something afterwards, just come back to the video and then just leave it in the comment section. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to all of our channels. It's in the description box. Also, please remember to check out the other links that I have that are in the description box in all the way at the bottom. If you want to be a part of this movement, you don't have to actually go out and protest if that is not your level of comfort. But if you want to be a participant in this movement of change, please feel free to check out the links below. And don't forget to, take the time to, educate yourself if you are still trying to figure out how you can be a part of the movement that is taking place, this movement of change. I'm going to allow the ladies to go ahead and sign off and tell you what you can expect from them in the future. I'll start with Lady D.
I don't know why you're gonna start with the lady with the baby first, but fine.
Because I know you got to go put your baby to bed. So
Right here, like, yo, boo, baby, can y'all hear? So, everybody, it's Lady D. Thanks so much for supporting us and coming out to listen to us talk about some ice and fire tonight. We have the Expanse stream this weekend, and I believe Stan is part 2 if I can guilt trip the ladies into it this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. So come and check us out. Thanks for coming.
AK?
Yes, thank you once again, folks, for hanging with us. It's always great doing these discussions, and y'all know we always say we're gonna try to, keep the streams down to a certain amount, but then we always go off on tangents, and everyone has such great things to add to the conversations. I love being here. Thank you, Monero, for putting this together. Thank you guys in the chat room, and to anyone else that's gonna watch us later. Like Monero said, make sure you put any thoughts and comments and things in the comment section after we go off, and we'll see y'all next time.
T?
I don't really have anything planned, but there is the Expanse stream Saturday, so we all know we on that tip. Plex said she wants to DM you some questions she has, so maybe she can get in touch with AK or you, send them questions your way. Hope I got that through. Thanks for vibing with us. This was a cool ass convo, even though basically I was just dragging Tywin, but Beauty Queen said I could do it. That was literally the condition of me on the stream, is if I can make fun of that man. He is a pervert, and I like the idea of fuck his legacy. So fuck his legacy.
I think his legacy is already fucked. So it's funny. He tried so hard to make sure that his family was respectable, and he died like shit, and his family just went to shit. It's just
We should call him Boo Boo Kitty.
Boo Boo Kitty. Well, B, did you have something else you wanted to toss in, or did you say it all already?
She like, look, I got a baby to attend to.
I'm saying, y'all,
She ain't even
time, but thank y'all for coming again. That's it. See, baby, you right. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to get this whole bedtime situation together. Tomorrow is Friday.
Yeah, it's like
work. I need to just get it together.
Yeah. When is your Stannis stream you trying to do?
I'm hoping, like maybe we can do it after the expansion stream, or maybe later Sunday or earlier.
I'm down for doing it after the expanse.
Huh?
I'm good for doing it after the expanse. Monero and T, if y'all are good, we can set that up.
Or we can even do it tomorrow if y'all want to, as long as after 8:30.
Set it up. Set it up. Whatever time.
However you want to do it. However you want to do it.
Whichever one is easier for everyone else. Just, y'all gotta just give me you just gotta let me know exactly what the convo is the topics are, because y'all know I'll start trolling and get way off topic, and that's not even what y'all want to talk about. Perfect example was the last stream where he wanted to break down stuff and I was just caught up in a lie and how he got there. So you got to give me some guidelines or else I'm going to go left. But I'm down for it, She gets me every time with that voice. Oh, well, can y'all? And I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to say yes to her. She does it every time. But I got spoiled by twins. So sure keep us in that rabbit hole. Well, now I'm going to shut the fuck up in this stream.
And now I'm talking see what will we for Stannis. I want to go over Pink Letter. So that's one thing. And I want to go over the Iron Bank situation because they gave him the worst terms. They gave him the worst.
They think he's going to die. They're like, don't nobody want you to be king. I just don't have a choice because Cersei ain't giving me my money.
But it's
and they really banking on Jon.
It's a bank that's supposed to be about credit, like your survivability and all that. Jon has no army up there in the Night's Watch. No money, nothing. They was like, here you go. Blank check. Stannis got a whole northern contingent in the snow, everything. And they're like, yeah, bro, you need to pay all this back. Sign right here. We need your left arm, your right arm, your left ball. We need all those. Let me see. Sign this in blood, bro.
Save it for the stream. Save it for the stream. You see how she be, y'all? Look, she about to go to that fucking rabbit hole. I'm trying to save y'all, okay? Save it for the stream. I'm going to save it.
Let me give a shout out.
Right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And again, thank you everybody for coming through and coming to spend some time with us. What?
What'd you say, T?
Oh, I thought you was going to say something. I don't know if she heard you.
No, I was just giving a shout out to Teflon and just stepped in chat.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Teflon. I'm sorry. I was about to say, hey, Tony. I'm sorry. Hey, Teflon TV. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully we can get you in the next discussion. Again, thank you to everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
Because I will be. No, I was like, yeah, for the Stannis one, because we roasted him too.
Yes. I'm all for a good roast.
Oh, also, I'm sorry, I did forget one plug, and it's for all of us. June 20th, I believe, is the next scheduled Ginger Ale chat. We are going to have 2 lovely guests come on. I'm not going to tell y'all who it is. If you want to find out, show up and you will see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell them what's coming up. So I have the Expanse coming up on Saturday. The following week we're gonna do part 2 of the Lannister Brothers, and the following Saturday should be our Ginger Ale chat. We're gonna have our Ginger Ale chat next Saturday evening. I think I'm gonna start that around 8:00. And then coming into June, going into July. July is going to be Harry Potter month, so we're going to be doing doing a book recaps and watching the movies. Also, I want to do a Netflix party. I talked to AK a little bit about it, and I reached out to OTDA and to Chrissy, and so they're kind of gonna help me with sending out the Ravens once I set it up. I don't know if anybody would be interested. If you are interested, I wanted to try to do that on the last Friday night of June. I don't know what date that is, but that last Friday in June, I wanted to do the Netflix party, and I wanted to have us all watch Space Force with Steve Carell. I haven't watched it yet, so I wanted to watch it with everybody. So if you're interested in doing that, I would really like for all of you to join us in the pizza and movie night, and we could watch Space Force with Steve Carell, and you can kind of see kind of like our reaction. I haven't watched it yet, and I really, really want to watch it because it looks really, really goofy and funny. So I really want to watch it, and I hope all of you will come in and join. And based on how that goes, we'll do Harry Potter for the month of July, since in honor of Harry's birthday. Okay, so those are some of the things that we've got coming up, and some of the other topics that we'll be discussing in the near future coming. Like we mentioned, and I already have the mommy issues on the list, but I also want to have a conversation of sex, violence, and politics in the Game of Thrones, and how those things, what part do those things play in the bigger picture of how the Game of Thrones is played. I wanted to have the discussion about Aerys in Duskendale, and how that also played a part in his downfall, and how he ended up, falling, because he wasn't always like that. I also want to have a discussion about the Isle of Faces. So those are some things that you guys can expect will be coming up with respect to some of these kind of discussions. I do want to do also a discussion on the Stark brothers, who are another big house, and I also want to do one on the Tully brothers. So those will go. The brother discussions will continue, and then I want to move into the sisters. The sisters discussion. Some of the sisters in Westeros. So those are some things that you guys can be looking forward to as far as discussions. So hopefully you all will, stick around for that. Please make sure to subscribe to all of our channels, because you never know on which channel we might pop up in order to have this discussion. So make sure that you're subscribed to all of us, and that you turn your notification bell. And I hope T-Baby will still want to do trashy mangas on her channel, because I would totally be into that. So have a good night.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a good night, everybody.
I just want to say one.
Oh, sorry.
No, just one thing, and I will end it. Say your goodbyes. I'm sorry. Don't mind me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's really ignorant. I was just going to say, Stannis doesn't know who his real daddy is. Good night, everyone.
And fuck them Lannisters.